Just kidding. Hello everyone, I am the Balaclava Corporate, and I'm here to monetize my mistakes by sharing my experiences, insights, and wisdom gained from failures with you. I am currently a consultant at one of the big four accounting firms, and since I have an active business profile, I've made the decision to keep my identity private. But that's not going to stop me from talking to you about the things I've done and the things I could have done differently so you don't make the same mistakes and you can do a lot better than me. to put it simply. Okay? I switched off the light in the cabin that I'm staying in because you could kind of see the outline of my nose and my lips and whatnot, which is not a big deal. Like, you still can't really make out who I am at all, but still, I don't want people knowing who I am. So, this is a fireplace. I lit it up with the fire starters and shit got put out pretty quick, so I'm not gonna bother with it. I am in a carriage, as in an actual train carriage that's been converted into a cottage. I'll throw in some footage for you. But basically, I am spending the next 3 days here to read, write, blah, blah, blah. But also, I'm going to make my first recordings for YouTube. Unbelievable. I never thought I'd be a YouTuber. I never wanted to be one. It seemed like a terrible business model. You have to constantly be known, constantly talk in order to make money, but whatever. I talk a lot already. I might as well make money from it. If you see flashing, it's because I got a giant flat screen TV here and Peaky Blinders on in the background on mute. Topic of today. I'm gonna check my notes. Anyway, so as of right now, I just got promoted from graduate consultant to consultant at the firm that I work for. You've likely heard the name, especially if you're a university student or someone who wants to work in the corporate world in consulting, accounting, advisory. No need for me to mention the name. I don't really want to. But basically, I got promoted recently to consultant. I've been working there for about a year and a bit now. And I've accumulated a lot of annual leave. So here I am spending my 2 weeks leave. No, I will not be spending 2 weeks in a carriage that's been converted into a cottage. No. But basically, oh, that's where I am, by the way. This is a fireplace, like a chimney and whatnot. It's an actual like train carriage, like an old school train carriage. I'll put some footage, in the video and whatnot for you. And they've converted it into a cottage. So right now I'm in the living area. Over there is the kitchen. Over there is the bedroom and bathroom. There's a door right there. You can't see it. I don't want to show you my bed. That's weird. And basically the next 3 days specifically, I will be spending my time in here. I'll be reading, writing some poetry, because I'm one of those people. And I will be doing some recordings like this to give you some advice. Maybe some of you are about to be in this position, want to be in this position, or considering being in this position, wanting to join a big four accounting firm, wanting to get into consulting. So today's episode specifically, I'm going to be talking about how I even got into the company, how I even got the consulting role. I'll be starting at university, so what I did at university. I'll then take you through to the work experience I had. From there, I'll talk about the interview process, the job process, and then going into actually getting that contract and how things panned out. Even in my case, having a contract switch right at the last minute and having to do another round of an interview in order to make sure that everything was A-okay and good to go. In that, I'll be giving you some insight that maybe you're unfamiliar with. If you're like me, you may be the very first person in your immediate family to go to university. And you've had to do this all by yourself. You've had to navigate everything by yourself. Not just university. University is one thing, but when it comes to stepping out into industry from school, into the corporate world, that's a whole different ballpark. And if you have parents, family who've only ever worked in, say, trade, construction, clerks, they've, had just office jobs and whatnot, they've just never gone to university and they've never pursued the kind of corporate career that you want to, well, you're on your own. And you'll make some mistakes along the way, which is totally fine. I have. I'm here to tell you my mistakes, so hopefully you don't make them. And you got a little bit of added guidance when you otherwise may have not. I will also apologize in advance. You don't know where I am location-wise, but I'll tell you weather-wise, it is raining. So it's probably going to continue raining. So far, it's okay, but this is a freaking carriage, you know what I mean? Like, I'm making the floors creak and whatnot, so if it starts to pelt down with rain, if it starts pissing down with rain, baby, you're going to hear it. But anyway, doesn't matter. Let's get to it. So, I graduated high school, yes, I am much older than you, in 2016. Or maybe I'm not older than you. I don't want to feel like I'm old. I'm turning 25 in 2 weeks. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, I finished high school in 2016. I started university in 2017. Now, when I started university, I was doing a double bachelor's. I was doing my law degree and my commerce degree. So I was doing a Bachelor of Laws and a Bachelor of Commerce with a major in finance. Now, I was admittedly quite a mediocre law student. No, I did not fail a unit miraculously. I only failed one unit. It was actually a finance unit, can you believe? Anyway, I was a mediocre law student. I hated law and made me miserable. It was very stressful. I mean, I think it's no secret that medicine, law, and then I think I'd say engineering are some of the hardest degrees you can do. They are known for their high volume of work as well as their high complexity. So it ain't for the weak. And I had to admit that I was weak. No, I wasn't really weak. I just didn't give a shit about it anymore. And I didn't want to be a lawyer. Anyway, so I was about 10 units deep in my LLB. And I just decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. I've always wanted to be one thing, sweetheart, and that was rich. And you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer to be rich. Of course, when you're young, and you're in high school, and you have teachers and adults telling you that you didn't decide what you need to do with your life now, despite the lack of development in your prefrontal cortex, you make decisions accordingly with what you got, which is pretty much nothing. I told myself from ego and prestige, I wanted to be either a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. I didn't want to be a doctor because that takes way too much time, and I do not have a single fiber of patience in my body. Engineering, I was originally going to get into petroleum engineering. I was doing chemistry, math methods, and physics in high school. And I sucked too much at physics to continue on with that. However, I've always had the gift of the gab and the gift of the pen, so obviously lawyer was it. I went on to do that. Also, again, mainly because it seemed like it matched my actual skills and my so-called natural talents. I can debate like hell. I will argue to the death, because I'm right. And I knew that there was the ego and prestige that was ticked off. I'm a very egotistical person. Like, you don't have to, it's kind of common knowledge that half the kids who go to law school just go so they can tell you they're a law student and then go on to tell you that they're a lawyer, which is not far from the truth, sweetheart. I love that. That's what I loved about being a law student, is being able to tell people that's what I was up to. But yeah, so I ticked all the boxes, so I went into law. But then at the end of the day, money trumps all, and I knew that I could make millions doing something else, not necessarily through law. And law in Australia, I'm not sure if you noticed from my accent, I'm from Australia, I'm in Australia, I'm in an Australian cabin right now. It's not like American lawyers who have private jets and whatnot. Over here, you can be rich as a lawyer. Of course you're going to be rich, but you can like charge $500 an hour. But at the same time, we don't charge the way Americans charge. We don't have contingency fees. which is why, let's say a massive settlement happens, you're a lawyer in Australia, you get the money that you charge per hour. You're not up here scooping up a percentage of people's wins. But anyway, so basically I was in the midst of a double bachelor's where I decided to drop my Bachelor of Laws and continue on with my Bachelor's of Finance. Bachelor's of Commerce majoring in finance. Okay, so what made my experience at university a little bit unique in terms of actually completing my degree and getting my degree was the fact that I went from doing a double bachelor's to a single bachelor's, and I had actually already completed pretty much all the units in the single bachelor's. So how it happens is with my university, if you do a Bachelor of Laws and a Bachelor of Commerce, within the first 3 years, you would have finished your Bachelor's of Commerce. You would have done all the units there, and then you would spend the remaining 2 years of your degree, because a degree takes about 5.5 years in total to complete. You would spend the remaining 2 years finishing off all your law units in trimesters. So it was at the end of my 3rd year at university, when I had completed all my finance and commerce units, that I decided that I didn't really want to be a lawyer and I was happy to finish off with my finance degree. However, now this is 2019, I decided to drag my feet a bit, and even though I completed everything for the finance degree at the end of 2019, instead of putting in the paperwork saying, hey, I want to drop law, I don't want to continue with it, I've done all my finance units, just let me graduate with my finance degree, I'll get out of here, get a job as you're supposed to. Instead, I was still on the fence. I was still on the fence about, should I drop law? Should I continue with it? What should I do here? So 2020 comes, semester 1, 2020 comes, and I decide to put my double bachelor's on hold and pursue software engineering. Whatever. Anyway, so, because I mean, software engineering, computer science, tech, and tech money was all the rage, and I like money, so I go where the money goes. If only I stayed consistent, I probably would have been here a lot quicker, but oh well. I make mistakes so you don't, sweetheart. That's the whole point of this video. So anyway, I then put my double bachelor's on hold, and then I'm doing a software engineering degree out of nowhere. And the thing is, like I said, semester 1, 2020. What happened in 2020? COVID. So that threw an absolute spanner in the works, right? When it came to my studies, like I was enjoying everything. I was enjoying, the time in the class and the tutors. And then when everything went online out of nowhere, I was like, I didn't sign up for this shit. It sucks. Being in my room, being at my desk in the house, not being able to use the computers and whatnot, not being able to crash tutorials and learn, but it was terrible. I'm like, I'm not getting my money's worth, fam, and I don't want to do this. And was I good? Was I not? Who knows? Certainly wasn't a natural, but I basically withdrew from the units for the software engineering degree before even getting results back on my first test. So that was it. Then semester 2 of 2020 comes. I figured I'm going to give myself one more chance to be a good law student. I'm going to give myself one more chance to be a good law student, and I'm going to go part-time, do 2 law units in 1 semester, and if I can't do this well, then obviously I just hate law and I can't be bothered with it. And that's exactly what happened, sweetheart. Semester 2, 2020, I did 2 law units, constitutional law and criminal law, and I got still average grades, just like credit average on both of them, I think. Or was one a pass and one a credit, something like that. Average shit grades as per usual, nothing different, despite doing half the workload, going from a part-time workload when I usually do a full-time workload. So anyway, end of semester 2, 2020 comes. I provided a very mediocre performance for 2 law units, and I decided that's about it. I'm ready to graduate. I've done all my commerce units. Just let me go. I'm obviously not going to be finishing this law degree. I don't want to. Fuck it. And so I did what is called an application for degree by incorporation. I think it's similar to an application for intermediate award, but basically it's when you've done a certain number of units in a course that doesn't qualify you for the original course. Let's say for a master's. Let's say you were doing a master's degree, but you only did the first 4 units. You don't qualify to graduate the master's, but you may qualify to graduate with the graduate certificate of that master's course, because a graduate certificate is generally the first 4 units of a master's course. So I applied for a degree by incorporation. That means because I had done a total of 24 undergraduate units at all the appropriate levels. You have level 1, level 2, level 3, or year 1, year 2, year 3 units. So basically you apply for a degree by incorporation saying, hey, I've done 24 units, or hey, I've met the criteria to graduate with an undergraduate degree. I just need you guys to sort out the mapping. So it will go to the admissions team, will go all the way up to, say, the dean of a school. They'll look at all the units you've done, make sure that you actually meet the criteria of what's required in terms of year 1, 2, 3 level units, the number of units, if you've actually covered all the compulsory or speciality units of that degree, in my case, commerce degree, major in finance. If everything ticks off, congratulations, you'll be graduating. So that took a while because universities are not known for being prompt, and my university was certainly not the exception, but they eventually got there. And they said, yep, you're all good. You won't be graduating in this session, so the summer graduation ceremony, but you'll be graduating the winter. Fine by me. Like, they do an outdoors thing for the summer session, the summer ceremony. Everyone sweats like hell. Is disgusting. I don't want to be part of that, baby. I don't do that. Give me the winter any day. And it's in September time, and our time in Australia is like, it's more spring than anything. The weather was perfect. Sun was shining. Great 22, 24 degrees Celsius for my American viewers. Great weather. Anyway, so just to put things in perspective, I thought that I would be graduating and finishing my university career 2 years down the track. I end up taking off 2 years and graduating 2 years early. What does that mean? When you think you have 5 years to graduate, it means you push back everything in terms of internships, vacation programs, clerkships if you're a law student. And there is a reason for that. It's because when you go to apply for internships and vacation programs, companies will say you were in your penultimate year, you were in your second last year, or your final year of your degree. If you're doing a double bachelor's, you're not going to be in your penultimate year or your final year until you're a couple of years down the track of everybody else. So there I was, deciding I'm not going to put another 2 years of university work to graduate with a Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Commerce. I'm cutting it, nipping in the bud right now, and I'm going to graduate. There I was. I have never done a vacation program. I've never done an internship. All I have is work experience. Good work experience, though, I will add. At the end of the day, employers care about your ability to problem solve and work under pressure. If you had a job like that, you'll be fine. But basically, there I was. I had no corporate experience, no company experience in terms of finance or law or anything of that kind of corporate nature. I'd worked in customer service at my university, which did help me, it was good. But at the end of the day, I didn't have that competitive edge like some of my peers would. And on top of that, because I had only just discovered now, oh, great, it's, semester 1 of 2021 and I'll be graduating soon. What am I going to do? Because I haven't even started applying for graduate jobs. So there I was, having not completed any vacation program, any internship. And on top of that, a lot of graduate programs that started at the beginning of that year, of course, had already began. They'd already started. I should have been applying for graduate programs in the midst of that 2020 semester 2 but I wasn't, because I thought I was going to continue on being a law student. And that's when I should have started applying for graduate programs if I wanted to start my life and start my career in the beginning of 2021. But I had no idea that I would be graduating anytime soon. And so, well, delay. Anyway, so there I was. It's about February, March 2021. I just got news that I will be graduating that year. And yet, that month itself, February, March, is when graduate programs at the majority of companies begin for people who applied for them in the previous year, in the second half of the previous year. I wasn't applying for any graduate programs in the second half of the previous year. So while everyone is graduated and starting their positions as graduates, graduate whatever, graduate analyst, graduate engineer, graduate consultant, whatever it may be, in their companies, I was now frantically trying to secure a spot. For a mid-year intake, or a company that does mid-year intakes for graduates. So maybe I would start my life in 2021, July. So the games begin, and I start applying for all the graduate programs, my friend. I start applying for, real estate company, banks, the big four accounting firms, all this. But now, you would think that I've, about to get my degree, I've wanted to get out to the workplace quick, now. That I would have just absolutely signed up for any job available. But no, I was a beggar acting like a chooser. And thing is, I never actually wanted to be a part of a big company. I never wanted to be part of the big four. I couldn't care less about them. When everyone was trying so hard to get into KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, there's a fourth one. What's it? KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, EY. There we go. So when everyone is, and they come to our school to do presentations and whatnot, and show graduates from our university who work there and give us a story. I never wanted to be part of a big company. I always wanted to be in a boutique, small company, small team, where I can see everything and be a part of everything and really be a core player, a vital player. That doesn't happen when you're a small fish in a big company and you're a little desk rat. So even though I should have been applying for all these big companies, I should just have been applying to whoever in general. I kept telling myself, no, I'll wait. I'll apply for a small company. I'll apply for a boutique. I'll apply for these very kind of like obscure jobs, or even just rare jobs, especially when it comes to finance careers. So I wasn't going full throttle. I wasn't going as hard as I should have with those applications, because in my mind, I was just going to somehow land somewhere that was ideal to me, which was silly. I know where I got that idea from. But I just figured, no, I don't want to be part of the big four or big banks or anything. I want to do small time, be a big player in a boutique or something like that. I'll, be able to be directly mentored by my CEO. That was the vision that I had in my head. But it's a vision that you're meant to make happen. It's a vision that you're meant to, you're meant to bring it to reality. And so, even though it was, don't apply for the big firms, go small time, I just didn't apply for the big firms, and I did not make an effort when it came to actually trying to find small time places that I could work. So it's the mid-year, and I'm about to get my degree, and I'm thinking, damn, okay, now I really have to start applying for anything, anyone, doing my research on all the small boutiques in my city. And for your information, like the majority of finance kids, what do we want to do? We want to work where the money is, baby. We're not like most finance kids don't think, oh, I want to go into consulting. Most finance kids want to work at a hedge fund. They want to work in stockbroking, trading, investment banking, private equity, this type of thing. Because that's where the big money in finance makes. They're the top dogs in finance. Like there's levels to it, babes. Like when it comes to finance, you can be working at a bank, in mortgage broking. You could then be a financial planner or wealth management, or then you can be a trader, working in the stock market, or working in investment banking, working in private equity, or working even in venture capital, stuff like that. So, you look at these careers, they're incredibly lucrative, and that's what we aim for. But incredibly competitive. Location. If you're, we all know that places like London, New York, Singapore, they're known for it. And if you don't live in those places, well, you don't get those spots, do you, sweetheart? Your own country might have its hub. Australia has Sydney as a hub. Of course, we have our own trading firms here and whatnot, but is it as prevalent as it is in those other capital cities? Of course not. So, another thing is, not only is it competitive to get into, and then there's the whole supply and demand. Is there even a lot of demand? Aren't these rare careers? They are rare careers because the types of firms and services in our country are a bit more rare in comparison to, say, a place like New York or a place like Switzerland. So getting a career like that in finance as an Australian kid, it will happen, but it will happen for very few of you. And then there's also the fact of a matter of being naive. You have to be realistic about the fact that the kids who get in may not necessarily just get in based on merit, but they have a pretty solid network. And I know that for a fact because I'll tell you about an interview that I did for one of these big firms. This is where I found out how naive I was, thinking that, you got the grades, you got some experience, you got an interest, and then you just show up to one of these interviews, and if you're better than the other candidates, doesn't be nothing too outlandish about you. Basically, I thought it was more about merit, less about networking and, the people that you know. Because it's not like Australia is as corrupt as America, right? So I figured I would still have a shot. Of course, I was incredibly aware that people were way better off in a better position than me, had more exposure than me, ran more internships than me, but I still figured I had a shot. But I had an interview with a finance firm that kind of gave me insight into the kind of kids they're looking for. Of all the people I got to interview for, or made it to a final round for, there was only, banks, the accounting firms, real estate firms. I've had interviews with them, for final round interviews. But one call I got was for a stock trading firm, which I was incredibly excited about, but also incredibly nervous about because, I had absolutely no confidence in that area, knowing what it requires of you and how little exposure I had, it being mostly a pipe dream of a finance kid. That's about it. But in the interview, it was about a 45-minute interview right near the Tower Exchange in my city. The altitude was so high, going up those elevators, 30 plus floors, you could feel your ears popping. Great view though. Anyway, they told they told me, in the midst of the interview about how you get clients on, and they said to me, oh, you'll probably start off with mom and pop clients that you know. And I was like, that I know, bro. My mom is semi-retired. She's been a government office worker her whole life. Her friends are nowhere near better off either. They don't have the kind of money to give me for work like this and stocks and whatnot. They're just, fingers crossed that their super holds out, doesn't get totally tanked by the recession that COVID brought on. What do you mean? And then they asked me a question. They said, what's your business plan? As in, who are the kind of people that you are going to bring on? As if I already have people who are ready to give me their money. and so I can put it in this company and trade on their behalf. And I'm like, okay, I see the kind of people that you work with. I see the kind of people that you employ. I'm getting an idea of the kind of kids that you deal with. Kids from certain areas, kids from certain walks of life, kids who come from certain homes with certain levels of income, where this is actually a reality to you. When in my reality, this is totally foreign. No, I don't just have friends ready to give me, I don't have family or friends ready to give me 30, 50 grand at the drop of a hat so I can pump it in a stock or some shit like that. Oh man, unbelievable. I was just like taken aback in the interview. I was like, what? I just rambled in the end. Luckily my gift of gab kind of get me through. And did they call me back? No, sweetheart, they didn't, but it's fine. Why? Because I applied for one of the big four consulting firms and I got in, and I should tell you how that happened. All right, so in 2021, got my application for degree by incorporation approved, graduated at my ceremony in 2021 September, was applying all over the place for a job, finance related. At this point, I wasn't being a chooser. I was definitely in my begging element and going for whatever. Now, for one of the big four accounting firms, I put in multiple applications. I put in multiple applications because they have multiple portfolios. They have multiple service lines. Usually they have consulting, auditing, advisory, and something else in there. And then within consulting, they have all their different portfolios and business units. You know, under consulting, you might have AI, strategy, digital marketing, EPM, which is enterprise performance management. So there's a lot you can apply for. So I applied for about 3 different ones, 3 different programs. And I went through the initial application stage, which is where you just submit the paperwork, just filling in all your details, attaching whatever documentation they need. And then very quickly you'll find out if you ticked all the boxes in their little automation system. You'll get an email back saying, hi there, we'd like you to complete a video interview. So much like this, you'll have questions come up on a screen followed by some recording time. Now, because I had done so many of these, bro, I was a pro. I knew the best answers, or the best answers. I knew I had all the ammunition and the practice. The ammunition from the job that I had working in customer service at my university, which was quite a demanding and complex job, actually, I guess, for, a uni kid. But that, again, that gave me ammunition. I had so many problem-solving examples that I could use to answer these questions, and just my general ability to storytell and narrate and bring my point across. Like, I naturally talk in the STAR method. I don't need to learn the STAR method. So basically, when it came to these video recordings, I'd see the question, start talking, got a minute to give my answer, would manage to get it in. If anything, I was just worried about going overtime, and submitted that through. And then what will happen is you get a final round interview. That's what would happen to me. So there are variations, of course. There are maybe like an assessment center you have to go into, which is when you actually go to their premises and complete some sort of online gaming assessment. Or you have to do a gaming assessment online in your actual room, wherever. And that might be followed by the video interview, or it might be after the video interview. And basically, in which case, if you tick their boxes, that's when you go to the final interview. Now, I was actually at a new job at a bank, just as a payments services officer, nothing special. Payment solutions officer, sorry. Basically, it's debt collection, and I call up people who owe money. It was a shit job, bro. Never recommend. Anyway, so I was in the middle of training for that job, and I said, I got to step out for like an hour or so because I got a call. I got an appointment. Anyway, so I sat in the banking area, just where there's like some furniture and whatnot. Had an interview with the manager and partner of the business unit that I had applied for as for a graduate role. Now, first things first, it started on my laptop and the Wi-Fi was terrible. And they asked me if I could switch over to my phone. A lot of kids would very much panic in this scenario. You're already incredibly nervous about this final round interview with the principal, the manager. You want things to go smoothly. You don't want any technical issues. You're already nervous, dry mouth, whatever, about your very answers and actually making sure you impress these people. All the things, all the anxiety that comes with an interview like this, everything riding on it. The last thing you want is some technical issues. I got technical issues. However, again, because I'd already done so many interviews like this, because I already had the ammunition for the examples and how to answer the question, I was ready to go. I was gunning it. Intuitively, I knew I was going to do well and get this job. So I was calm. They said, sorry, can you please switch over to your mobile or something like that because the Wi-Fi connection is not good on your end. And I said, yep, no problem. While they were up on my laptop, I got my phone out, I downloaded the Zoom app, put in the code, connected to them, and I did it all very swiftly and calmly. That in itself impressed them. She was impressed by the fact that in a moment where people usually panic and they're very apologetic and they're trying to move very quick and they're just showing how angsty they are, I didn't apologize at all. I was like, yep, no worries. Took care of it, connected. And she said, oh, thank you for doing that very calmly and quickly, something like that. But she made the comment about it. I knew just from that example alone, I was already in the good books. I've already demonstrated, works under pressure, or, can manage stress or some shit like that, whatever these people. I'd already ticked things off in the application criteria just by that example alone. Anyway, I get through the interview. I answer the questions pretty well. I throw in a couple of, I throw in a couple of answers that make me look like I'm well read. Like usually the final question is one that's a bit of a freestyle where they say, oh, what do you think are going to be the main disruptors in the industry? Or what do you think is going to be what separates companies, in terms of innovation in the future? And that's when I just brought up cryptocurrency, which makes me look kind of cool, right? Look at me, I'm not a traditionalist. I'm with the innovation, I'm with the disruption, whatever. And so basically I just talked about cryptocurrency. I talked about how JP Morgan is already adopting a crypto platform for themselves. That makes me look well-read. And when I say well-read, I mean I knew how to talk based off a single headline that I read the night before. So anyway, they were impressed. I knew it went well. I knew I'd get the job. Later that week, I got the call saying, congratulations, you got it. I was very calm. I kind of just knew I'd have it. And they told me the salary, superannuation, and basically when it was time for me to start and how many days I had to accept the offer. Now, beggars can't be choosers, but I got the contract, so they can't rescind it. Once you've been given a contract offer, they can't take it back unless you reject. Now, this job was actually for one in a different state, and I didn't want to go to a different state. I really didn't. And I said to her, I'm sorry, is there any chance I could actually get a transfer to a graduate program that was actually in, my city? And she said, actually, we do have a bunch of graduate program applications that are going to be published on Monday, like you'll see it all over LinkedIn, and that is for the July intake. So if I had accepted this offer, I would have started my corporate career in February, March of 2022. But because I didn't want to go to a different state in the end, especially for the kind of money they were giving me, I was like, is there any way that I can do something here in my state, in my city? And so they said, look at the ones we have on offer in your state and your city coming up on Monday for the July intake and apply for those. And now since you've already gotten an offer, since you've already gone through the interview process, you've already, been successful, you'll be able to bypass the video interview. You'll be able to bypass those kind of initial stages and just go to a final round interview with one of the directors or partners in your states/cities team. So they also told me to just email them once I had applied for one of these different graduate programs in my state, and they would, take care of the rest. So Monday came, I applied for 3 different graduate programs, I think, in my state. Gave them my preference as soon as I had done applying, just doing the regular online application for a July graduate program in my state. I emailed the HR lady and I said, this is my preference, I've submitted it, let me know what the next steps are. She said no problem. She forwarded my email on to one of the guys in my state who would be taking care of it. I'm not sure actually who was in my state, but he was handling the graduates in my state. And he said, don't worry about the video interview or anything like that. You've bypassed it. I'm just going to basically put in the info request that's going to go up the ladder to the partner or whoever, and we will get you an interview arranged and see what goes from there. So that's all that I need to do. I just need to do one more interview with the director or manager or partner for that business unit in my state and see how that went. Now, you might think, oh no, what if you don't get it? No, babes. I already got this job. I already got this contract. The primary purpose of that interview wasn't for me to impress or prove myself. It was really just to have a conversation of what these people do in their team, the kind of work they have, and if I align with it. The guy who interviewed me was my current director, who's the best guy, lovely guy. Shout out to him. I don't want to say his name, but he's the best. Throughout the entire interview, just smiling, being very friendly. He did most of the talking, telling me what they do. I just asked a few questions. And it was all very positive, all smiles. 45 minutes, an hour, done. But it took them like a month to get back to me. They gave me courtesy calls though, thank goodness, saying, hey, sorry, we're just waiting for the final go ahead, as the paperwork has gone up to the top guy. Bit sexist, my bad, but I know it's a guy. I was waiting to come back down and get the final and as soon as that happens, we'll let you know. So everything seemed quite positive. Later on, I think maybe, was it a month in total or 2 weeks? I can't even remember. But basically, I eventually do get the call saying, congratulations, you will be starting your graduate role in this team in July. Bam. So, all that messiness with my degree switching, all the messiness with my degree by incorporation, all the messiness of the timing completely being off, all the messiness of not having any internships and vacation programs because of the changes and mistakes that I made, all that messiness came to a halt, finally tied up, pushed to the side, because I was officially going to be starting as a graduate at one of the big 4 accounting firms. As the first person in my immediate family to graduate university to begin with, now I was going to go on to an area that was seen as a dream job and a dream opportunity and a dream starting point for a lot of business graduates. And so I kind of made it in that sense. As in the ideal starting point, getting to a good spot, landing that good position, landing that good foundation. So basically landing a good gig, landing a solid gig, landing a well-known or, I suppose, perceived as prestigious gig post-university, landing on something solid as a foundation to begin my corporate career. So there I was. July 4th, 2022, I started as a graduate consultant at one of the big four accounting firms. Uni is done, and my life in industry began. So that just gives you a bit of insight to where I started and where I ended up and how I ended up there. Now, there is a lot of information, a lot of experiences, a lot of hiccups, and a lot of things that I had to do in the midst of all that. Now, in terms of the next episode, I'll actually be talking about the reality of consulting. So I've taken you to me starting as a graduate consultant. Next, I'm going to actually talk about what is the kind of consulting I do, the reality of it, pros and cons, what people's perceptions are of consulting, and what actually plays out. What's consulting like post-COVID? How has that landscape changed? Is it worth it? Am I staying? Am I going? What am I doing? And I'm going to give you the honest fucking truth. When we had grads join, once I had been a grad for like 6 months to a year, I would be on the phone. I'd had calls with them for like an hour, letting them know what's up. I'd be typing paragraphs to them, letting them know the reality of how this stuff pans out. And I'm giving that to you as well. So I'm going to be giving you a deep dive, intricate insight into what it's actually like in consulting, at least the type of consulting I do. Maybe you want to do it, maybe you don't. At least this way you can find out. Not everyone's an extroverted networker. Maybe this way is a good opportunity for you to actually learn and get the answers that you need. So I'm going to give you those answers. That's going to be next episode. And there's going to be a bunch of other episodes that I will do about, the fact that I did a finance degree. Is it worth it? Where will I be going? How do you learn what other teams do? Can you talk to other partners and get insights from them? I have, so I'll show you how it's done. It's not that difficult, actually. A lot of companies these days promote a flat hierarchy, so if you want to chat to another partner, you totally can. But yeah, so that's next episode coming up will be the insights into the reality of consulting and what my life is like as a consultant, from just overarching concept to what I do day to day, and then also what I've actually done on the 3 projects and 3 clients that I've worked on while I've been there in the past year. And I will also talk to you about my promotion that I just got on July 1st. So, hope you enjoyed this. This is the part where I say subscribe and give a thumbs up and comment. Dear God. Never thought these words would exit my mouth. Not like you can see my mouth or what's exiting my mouth. But yeah, I'd say sub it and thumb it and put some stuff in the comment section. I can talk forever. So if you guys got questions or anything like that, sound off. I will do maybe there's one of those Q&A thingos that people do. Dear God, imagine that being in my life, bro. Then I do it for free anyway. I'm always giving unsolicited advice. I might as well, I might as well make it global and get some AdSense money from it on me. Anyway, thank you very much for viewing. I hope you got something out of this. I'll see you in the next. Much love.